So over the last few weeks, I've been pretty hard to catch up with. To be honest, I've got a bit of a reputation of being notoriously difficult to pin down, but particularly in the last few weeks, I know a few people have been trying to catch up with me and perhaps wondering where the little peckerhead's got to. Well, I just wanted to report in and say all is well. I've just been working really hard on the project that you can see behind me. I just wanted to share that with you for what it's worth. It is my workshop that I've long been wanting to get started. And it's cooler here in Paraguay this time of year, so it's been a perfect time to get cracking on it. It's a pretty modest structure, 6 metres by 3 metres across, but it's got some elements to it that I just wanted to talk about because it's relevant to what I've talked about on previous videos in respect to building. In Paraguay and absolutely other countries that we've been to throughout South America, there is an astonishing problem with the way that they build their houses and other structures, in particular their foundations. The issues relating to rising damp are so significant that it's difficult to find a house here in Paraguay that doesn't have some element of mold or mildew rising from their foundations. And what's become apparent to me is that it's scandalous because we have the means to build foundations in a way that doesn't need to happen. And those means, those ways of building foundations that prevent or at least inhibit the issue of rising damp and mold, well, they came about maybe in the Roman times and before. They've been with us for thousands of years. It is absolutely criminal that we're building houses in 2026 that have this issue because there's no need for it. Although the foundations behind me might look a bit rudimentary, I'll admit it's no Machu Picchu. Most of the work is underneath, obviously, the surface. And it's nothing really complicated. It's essentially a rubble foundation. You find them in a lot of the Roman architecture and before. There's no rebar in there, there's no cement underneath the surface. So, in my opinion, this will be, I hope, standing proof that you can build a building here in Paraguay that will be free of the issues relating to rising damp and mold coming up from your foundations. The building is going to consist of those foundation walls, and then it will be an elliptical aircrete arch. I did some training a number of years ago in respect to aircrete, and it's a wonderful way of building in my opinion. So I'll bring you more progress as it comes to hand. The amount that I will spend in building this in total would probably be a fraction of what it would cost for me to even get a permit in a place like New Zealand or Australia. But the crazy thing is, we talk a lot about the issues of rising damp and mold and things in houses in Paraguay. Well, Australia and New Zealand at least shouldn't feel too confident and comfortable about the way that they do things, because I know a number of years ago I lived in a house in Western Australia, and it was a house that had been maybe built within the past decade, and it had split right through the middle. Its foundation was totally compromised and it pretty much needed to be rebuilt, and that wasn't uncommon. So too in New Zealand, houses everywhere there with rising damp, mold and mildew problems. So we need not just think that this is a Paraguayan problem. This is a worldwide issue where the way that we build our properties, not everywhere and every property, but a lot of it, is done in a way that suits the big end of town. So I think it's just common sense for us to maybe just try and get back to basics where we can. And that's why I love Paraguay so much, because the thing behind me isn't the main, I guess, focus of this video. I would say that the real thing that I'm really celebrating is the fact that I'm able to do this. I'm in a country that allows me to come out here without being scrutinised by beaker heads with clipboards, and I can build something like this without being hassled. And that's the way things roll right around Paraguay. Someone said to me a few weeks ago, they noticed that really poor people in Paraguay tend to live in really poor looking houses, but really poor people in Australia or New Zealand live in their cars, if they have a car. And I thought that was pretty insightful. You don't find many people here who don't have some sort of structure. I think the key is that hopefully over time, people can come here and perhaps introduce other ways to build. Things like the way I'm building here. I believe that this will be an example of how to build a structure here with the same materials or similar materials that they build other structures with, but in a way that will prevent those issues like the rising damp and so forth. Time will tell, but you've got to start somewhere. But if it was good enough for the Romans, well, it's good enough for me. But, you know, that's where it's at. I'm having a ball with this project. Talk about functional fitness. I've lifted, you know, a couple of truckloads of rock and sand, and, you know, it has been really awesome. It's been great work, and I think everyone should at least experience it once in their life, building something. And the thing that this really does give me comfort about is that, you know, my kids will learn everything from this, for better or worse, and over time they will know how to build their own structures. And although that might not mean much to some people out there who are perhaps feeling like they're pretty comfortable in life, but I know that younger generation, well, the age of home ownership is just going later and later and later. And the way things are tracking, kids who are under 20, their chances of getting into the property market anywhere in the world, well, it's going to be challenging, particularly in those Western countries. So I'm glad that at least I'll be able to give my kids the ability to see how a structure is built, for better or worse, to learn from it so that they can think about it and hopefully at least have the capacity to find a little bit of dirt in some place where the government isn't too tyrannical and overreaching, and they're able to put a roof over their head. Because I think we are entering an age where those things that we've always taken for granted, well, maybe we will be revisiting our thinking on that, because having a roof over your head for a lot of people will be increasingly a difficult thing to achieve. So at least for me, I feel good that, you know, I'm able to build something and give my kids the benefit of seeing how that rolls, because, you know, it's not that challenging. Yeah, it's hard work and you've got to think about it, but the answers are all here. We've just got to put them together and, you know, find ourselves in a place that allows us to do that. So that's all I really wanted to say about that. I know that there's a lot of talk about Paraguay and what you're allowed to do here and what you're not allowed to do, and there's been changes in respect to things like reporting of crypto and things. I understand they're all things that concern people, and often rightfully so, but I also encourage people to not look or overlook those areas of life in a place like Paraguay where you can exercise freedoms that are really uncommon in many other parts of the world. And that's what I try and focus on, not what I can't do, but what I can do. And in this crazy world, doing something like this is pretty well a revolutionary act. Growing something, building something, and believing in something higher than the government that's in office. So at least in Paraguay, presently, you're able to do those things. So for now, I'm a happy lad, but let's see how things roll from here. Time will tell. So I hope that's of interest to someone. I'll keep you updated on this building project from time to time. It's going to take some time. I'm not trying to break any land speed records. There's a process involved, and, you know, things like curing and things like that need to be allowed for, particularly once I build the additional structure. So it's not going to go up overnight, but once it's up, it'll be up for a long time. And that's something that's really quite interesting. Like, there was a structure at the back of our property that had been built, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago. I just sort of happened to dig it up. It was like the foundations or something. And a lot of those stones I dug up and dragged down and incorporated into this. So it goes to show that building like this is sustainable, because I don't know how long they built that before, but now those rocks have got a new lease of life and they'll be in this foundation for, I don't know, a few more 100 years to come. And, I just think that's kind of cool. We look at things like rock foundations and think, oh, it's pretty archaic, but you show me a man-made building material that can do that. I don't know. I haven't found one, but so that's all I've got to say about that. I find it interesting anyway, and I hope someone out there has also. So until next time, take care. Ciao.
Llegaste de la nada, cuando menos lo esperaba. Al encontrar tu mirada, ya estaba perdida. Con tu forma de hablar, sin miedo de expresar